Paranormal in Pennsylvania may discuss topics such as suicide, murder, and other potentially upsetting things. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to Paranormal in Pennsylvania,
where we discuss history and haunts.
Today's story takes us over to Downingtown, Pennsylvania. I'm Sarah.
I'm David.
Let's get into it. This season, we're being sponsored by our friends at Haunted US. They travel the country bringing you real stories of American hauntings every Thursday at hauntedus.com. Okay, so the Twin Valley Tunnels. This was something completely not on our radar until I heard that it was a local legend. And it's really cool. This is one of our more true crimey type episodes. Normally it's like historical battles, but this isn't really a historical site.
Okay.
So, the history of it. So the Twin Valley Tunnels are a set of two tunnels that pass under railroad tracks along Valley Creek Road, hence Twin Valley Tunnels.
Are they identical or fraternal?
But there's actually three.
I see.
So are they triplets?
I don't think they understand what twins are.
I know. I think it's because two go under and then one is like kind of over. Like there's one that you can still drive through and you look down to the other two.
So it's a family.
It's a family of triplet tunnels. Or one's the older brother.
I would say the one
sister,
above is the older.
Sibling.
Or younger, depending on when it was built.
Anyways, enough with that metaphor that we can't make work. So it's confusing that they call them the Twin Valley Tunnels. The third, like I said, the road actually goes through the third. So the creek goes through the middle tunnel, it's my understanding, or the far side rather. So you drive through the road tunnel, the creek goes through the far one, and the middle one is mostly a dirt floor.
Okay.
A lot of people were fishing in the creek when I was there, and so they, some people are getting pretty close to the far side tunnel because the creek runs through it.
Gotcha.
So the tunnels are mostly the exact same, but the one on the far side with the creek going through it actually has a shaft that goes up, and that was used when it was a railroad to access underneath the railroad tracks. So you can get a pretty good feel for the layout by using Google Maps Street View if you're listening and you're like, this makes absolutely no sense, Sarah, because I went there and walked it virtually after being there in person, and it actually really does make it easy to understand the layout. So
our awesome editor Erica might throw in a picture of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe
just a screen record of Erica pretending to walk through. I'm picturing not only did she screen cap it on Google Maps, but stick figure Erica walking around. Now I'm giving her more work. So anyways, but you can go look at it. You can get a good idea for it there. So other than that, the history is just that these tunnels were used for transportation with the railroad. They were built by Irish immigrants. It did not say when. And there is a decent amount of true crime associated with them. But the rest of the history, I think, fits more into the paranormal sections.
Okay.
So brief history, but here we go. So for the paranormal section, the paranormal part, like I said, is true crime, urban legend, and paranormal aspects. Kind of a mix of the three. So we're going to start with the one that the creek runs through. So this is the tunnel furthest from the road tunnel. And this is the story. Long ago, allegedly sometime in the 1800s, which is a very non-specific time, a woman became pregnant out of wedlock. This woman was allegedly so distraught that she, after giving birth to the baby, was driven out of the town. And now the shaft part of the far tunnel comes into play here because allegedly she hung herself in that railroad access shaft while holding onto her baby. But when her neck snapped and she died, she let go of the baby and it tumbled down and also died.
Jeez. Okay, so that makes more sense. So she climbed this side to the top of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Where the shaft was, and hung, I guess, a piece of wood or something to drop down from, or like how did she anchored herself somehow?
Believe it or not, from the 1800s, there was not clear documentation.
Well, so when you originally told me about this and mentioned it, I was thinking that like they brought like a ladder or something and climbed the ladder and like stabbed something into either side of the shaft, and then
I don't know how it was done. We're not here to discuss the logistics. But some versions of the story say that she was still pregnant with the baby. Like I said, some say she had given birth. It's a bit of an urban legend. So both are obviously terrible, though.
Yeah.
And so because of that, that has lended itself to a few hauntings. The first is that her baby haunts the tunnel. Visitors report hearing a baby crying at night, and this one could be true through all of the stories. Like, some people say it's the unborn baby that's crying, some people say it's the baby that died that's crying, some people say she gave birth and someone adopted the baby and it's crying because its birth mother passed away. So I think all of them, that would make sense.
Some of those are creepier than the others.
Yeah. Certainly.
Unborn baby crying? What even is that?
Yeah.
Creepy. Far more creepy than just dead baby crying.
Is it? I mean, let us know in the comments. But I don't know. They're both pretty creepy to me.
Yeah, but I guess technically an unborn baby that dies in the womb is still dead baby. So.
On that happy note, some say that you can also hear the whispering of the mother, and there isn't much around the tunnels, so I would say that that's definitely paranormal. I try to be skeptical of the surrounding things, but this is just kind of next to a road. I didn't see a ton of houses very close to it. It looked like it was on the other side from the drivable tunnel. It looks like it's like a park almost. So I think if you hear whispering in the tunnel late at night and you're alone, it's probably paranormal.
Maybe. You ready for this?
Okay.
So, depending, because with the shaft and how wind blows, it might create like a small whistling effect that might be perceived as whispering as well.
Okay. I hadn't considered, but that is a good point. That's a very good point.
Not trying to decry it. It is far more likely paranormal than in many places.
Yeah. That's a good point, though. Good to be skeptical. Some people say that you can see the young woman's spirit specifically on Halloween night, but that seems like a urban legend type thing.
It feels like a way to hype up Halloween in that area, for sure.
So, unfortunately, we're keeping on the theme of taking one's life, which is why we have warning at the beginning of the podcast. So, another local legend says that a man hung himself using a wire that connected two of the tunnels. Legend says if you stand or park in the tunnels, you can hear footsteps followed by a wire snapping in the tunnel that you're not in.
Oh, that's interesting. So wait, how do you know that it occurred? Isn't that like if a tree falls in the woods scenario?
Well, someone would have found the body.
No. So but to like what you're saying, the paranormal occurrences is if you park the car, it happens in the other tunnel.
No. Like you hear it as if it is happening in the other tunnel. So it would be like, it's not happening like right above you. You'd hear it as far away.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah. Good clarification there. And I think it would be hard to achieve because it's a pretty high traffic place. I got out to go down the bank and look at the tunnels, and it was like scary to run across the road because there were so many cars there. So I think this would just be challenging to achieve parking.
You'd have to go like at the dead of night.
Yeah. And then I think it'd be creepy enough because you're like in the middle of a dark tunnel.
Hi listeners! We're so excited to tell you about our partnership with Haunted US. Haunted US is an online publication that brings you credible articles on the history and specific paranormal claims of haunted locations across the country. We've even used them to research some of our episodes. Visit hauntedus.com for new haunted places every Thursday.
Some say you can actually glimpse an apparition of a man's hanging body if you do drive through it at night. People say that the headlights like bounce around the tunnel and you can see it swinging. I don't know about that one. I've only been there in the day. I will say I didn't see anything when I was there when it was raining, but I might go back at night to see.
Yeah, why not?
Moving on to one of the true crime stories that is confirmed true. So the other two, they were long ago or don't really have a time attached to, I guess the man's story doesn't have a time attached to him. So we can't be certain about it, especially because there wasn't good documentation in the 1800s for this stuff. But this one is confirmed true. So on July 11th, 1995, there was a maroon suitcase wrapped in a garbage bag that was found in the creek by the tunnel. And this was found by a fisherman because, as I said, a lot of people fish there. I think it's a trout stream. Don't hold me to that. And turns out that inside the suitcase, there was a dismembered body of an unidentified woman. And the inside of the suitcase, or the outside of the suitcase, was also taped shut and bound shut with wire. So someone really did not want this suitcase opened. But someone found it. They said that it looked suspicious. They called the police and they found this torso of a woman. It didn't have the head and it didn't have the legs.
But nothing said about the arms.
I think it did have the arms, but not the hands. So the reason that I think that is they couldn't identify who this woman was.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they wouldn't have dental records and they couldn't do fingerprints, or maybe the fingers were so badly decomposed. I know there weren't legs. So this is why.
Really confident on that one.
I'm very confident on that because the legs were found in 1996. Creepy. But they were so decomposed that they actually could not match the DNA, unfortunately. So this is still a Jane Doe open case.
Where were they found in 1996?
Nearby.
Oh, interesting.
In a garbage bag. It seemed, from my analysis, I mean, I'm no detective or expert, it seems like someone dismembered the body and then went around to various like creeks and tried to bury it there. And people found it in the first case very quickly, it seemed, but in the second case, not for another year. And that's after it had gone through the heat of summer and then the dead of winter. So lots of decomposition happening by then. And the woman, like I said, has still never been identified, unfortunately. People report hearing a voice crying, "Help me," when walking through the tunnels at night.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of sad.
I know, it's very sad. But I think it makes a lot of sense. And that one, I think we can say is definitely paranormal because the whispering, yeah, I could get behind. But this one, specifically hearing the words, "Help me."
Yeah, could be a cryptid too.
I guess it's true.
That's also equally scary, if not more.
Yeah. People also report shadow figures of men walking through the tunnels, but it's theorized that these are the Irish workers that built the tunnels, and not even that they died during the building process, just that they might be kind of like running on a loop doing their job.
That's interesting to me because when I think of like people returning to a location when they die, it's like they had a really strong connection to it, and I can't imagine that the Irish workers like loved that job so much.
That's true.
And yeah, I don't know. It doesn't mean there wasn't deaths that they weren't reported, but also it doesn't mean that it's not paranormal, that there's not some of those guys on loop from just like the energy they might have left behind. It's just kind of weird when I hear of like really bad I assume not very fun working conditions for these Irish workers, that they die and then go back to working that location.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It could also just be shadow figures of men. It's only theorized that it's the workers.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. So this next one, I could take or leave, honestly. So there are reports of cult and satanic worship happening in the tunnel with the dirt floor because there's so much death and negativity surrounding the area that people say, you know, it's linked to all these terrible things. So the cults like to use the space for their practices. And there's a decent amount of graffiti there. So people do frequent the space, but I think it's a big jump to say that there's cult activity there unless someone's explicitly seen it. And what does that look like?
Right. If there's like no active report or evidence of that one falls kind of flat for me.
Yeah. I think it's a big jump. Again, I think that's tied to the urban legend of like, oh, spooky tunnel, don't go at night.
Right.
Yeah. And the graffiti seems like probably local people. I hate to say kids because I'm picturing like college age people even maybe, because it's not terribly far from Westchester University, but probably high schoolers. So the last thing, and this one was super interesting to me, some people say that there are guardians of the tunnels, and these have been described as a few different things. Some say they're hellhounds, some say they're other entities that won't let people pass. And the theory is that there's a portal to hell nearby the tunnels, which we may or may not cover on another episode upcoming. And that the guardians are not guarding these tunnels themselves, but the road to the portal to hell.
Oh, I was about to say, that if they're guarding the tunnels, kind of poor job if you said there's a ton of traffic. But if they're guarding another route, that makes more sense.
Right, like a spiritual route. And what I was thinking is, like, what are they guarding against?
I don't know.
Right? I mean, I think it's a cool idea. I just don't really see how it fits. Like, is it judging people by its intentions and they want to keep this portal to hell open? So if you're going to close it, they won't let you through? Is it they don't want anybody with the intention of going into the portal to get through? So I think that one is up for a lot of interpretation, I think.
Yes. Definitely a lot needs to be said about that, or more context, I guess, is really what I'm getting at for that one.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that, it's easy to say, oh, there's these guardians, but I was also thinking like dogs or hounds. I could see those just being, well, I don't know if there's wolves in that area, but even a dog that got out, So I think, again, cool idea, interesting in practice. So I would like to go back during better weather and bring more equipment with me. There was a ton of fishermen there when I was there. It was a very busy time of day. It was pouring down rain. So I didn't spend too much time there, but I would like to do a formal investigation, go back at night. I think it could be cool.
Yeah, definitely. And close off the tunnels and be like, closed.
Well,
don't know about the legality of that.
Yeah, there's like a little pull-off next to the tunnel with the road, so you can park and then you can like climb down the banks to the other two. But I'd imagine during summer, it's super, super overgrown because it was already overgrown when I was there in April. So you'd have to trudge through like thorns and stuff. Or you could get out where there's a bridge by the stream and a parking lot down there and wade down. But that would be a lot of work.
Probably.
Yeah. So I definitely think there's more to come. I definitely think we could investigate the portal to hell nearby. Not maybe be there, but research it at least. I don't know how I feel about going there. But I think this is a cool one. I would absolutely visit it.
Oh, you would visit it?
Again.
Yeah, I'd visit it.
Yeah, I would visit it again. And I think it's cool. The true crime aspects are interesting, and especially because they span so much time, starting in the 1800s as recently as 1995.
Yeah, so lots of spooky, or in this case, one of them being very tragic occurrences.
Yeah, they're all pretty tragic, but yeah. So that is it for the Twin Valley Tunnels in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Tune in next week to see what haunted location we discuss next. Stay spooky, my friends.